Okay, so I just read here in the chat that Cynthia has a question for the Astro dice.
Okay.
She she put that in here. Actually, I think it deserves a little bit of explanation. I'll say what her question is, but then I'll explain it because it's an idea that she and I just recently, that we just recently sort of came up with this idea. It's, so what is the forecast for the Walkman business? So, I mean, I need to explain what that means because you guys probably back in the 1980s and 1990s, Sony produced cassette players. The little, I'm sure you both. Well, I don't know about you, how old you are, John, but I'm sure, Christy, you remember cassettes, right? You might have had a boombox or something,
I'm
and
aware of it.
you're aware of cassettes, right? And they had a whole series of products. They were called Walkmans. You may recall them. They were these little, kind of things, and people would plug in little earphones, just like they kind of do now with Bluetooth and iPhones. But back in the day, 80s and 90s, it was the cassette. And so one of the things that's happened that Cynthia and I have both been discovering in the last few weeks, we discovered this incredible renaissance and rebirth, reawakening about the cassette industry, which is kind of on the heels of the re-explosion of the vinyl industry in music. I don't know how much, I don't know how much aware you are, but the big resurgence of interest in vinyl records, and then the cassette is now being rebirthed. So long and short, if you look on eBay now and you look at all these Walkman players, it's all totally mind blowing because these old Walkman players are now being refurbished and being resold for like incredible amounts of money, and people are buying them because not just the nostalgia, but because people are really reawakening to the quality of sound, analog sound, which is very real kind of sound.
Mhm.
And what happened is we just recently discovered a guy on eBay who's a technician. He's an expert technician and on these Walkman devices, and he charges a flat fee for repairing some of these Walkman devices in a relatively short time. And so this idea emerged. We could buy up a bunch of the old ones that are non-functional, very, very cheap, and then ship them off to him to, get them repaired and then resell them on eBay for a much higher price that they're going for. And anyway, Cynthia got into the idea of it and all. We've been discussing it. Huge
Huge
margin.
margins. Yeah.
You just wrote huge margins there. Yeah, huge margins. So yeah. So anyway, yeah. So let's ask the Astro dice. But I didn't tell you this, but I did ask already a little bit about it. But I'm not going to let that influence your. I'm not going to let that influence your because I want it to be, separate. Okay. So I'm going to ask your question for you. All right. Here we go. Wow. Okay. So the answer, Cynthia, sorry, my audio wasn't working. Don't worry about that. Okay. So the answer we got is Jupiter Capricorn 5. Jupiter Capricorn 5. So I'll explain what that means. So Jupiter is a planet of expansion, abundance and expansion. Capricorn is the sign of business, having to structure a business, organize a business, market a business. So it's all the normal nitty-gritty parts of, putting together and organizing some sort of venture. And then the 5 in this context really essentially means promotional, but of course, in the context of eBay, it's already in an environment where, you know, there's there's a huge amount of visibility. So if you have the product and it's in demand and you put it up. And so but there's the element that you still have to, you know what I mean? You still have to do the work and put it up and do all the work. So the answer basically is very positive, very upbeat, profitable, upbeat, just indicating that, we have to go through the steps, the mechanical steps in order to put it all, put it all together. And yeah, she said it's a niche market. Yes, it is a niche market, but true, but becoming a bigger niche market.